Welcome to Barbecue Today. I'm your host, Derek Riches, and today we're going to be cooking on the Oklahoma Joe's Ryder DLX Pellet Grill. This sells for about $650. It promises to be a really good pellet grill. It's very large in capacity, about 1,200 square inches of total cooking space, and it promises to do low and slow as well as hot and fast. So we're going to start out on the barbecue side. We're going to go with a nice little pork butt, and then we're going to try a steak at high temperatures. This promises 650-degree cooking temperatures. Let's see how it works. All right, so I got my pork butt on here. I'm just using my basic Carolina pork rub, and let's connect our temperature meat probe. Feeds in through a little teeny door over on this side, and it's going to feed it around through here. Okay, let's go this side. Get in the meat there. Plug it into my port under the bottom here. And now I'm going to set my probe temperature. Which is a little slow to set. I'm going to set it for 195 degrees. Not that that's the final temperature I want to get to, but if I was just going to set it and forget it, that is the temperature that I'd want to get to. Now, we want to keep an eye on how this is cooking and how the unit's running. So I'm going to plug in my fireboard with my pit monitoring probe. Now, one problem is that little port over here, that little hole that lets me feed my temperature probes in, is really small, and none of my fireboard probes will fit through it. I'm just going to set this in the back there, and while I'm at it, we'll monitor the temperature of the meat independently on the fireboard. The great thing about the fireboard temperature unit is I can record the actual temperatures as the unit cooks. So I can go back and I can look at temperature fluctuations and get a really good idea at how accurate our controller is. I'm going to set our cooking temperature for 250 degrees, and I'm just going to set it and forget it. Let it alert me when it reaches 195. So the biggest selling point of a pellet grill is that you should be able to fire it up, put your food on here, and let it run. It shouldn't have any problems. Well, I've had my pork butt on here about 2.5 hours, and shortly after it went on, there was a grease fire. You can see the charring here on the side. It didn't burn for very long, but still, I mean, the damage is kind of done here. The underside, this side here, had some burning, and that's possibly because of the arrangement of the deflector. It's capturing grease here where it should be allowed to drain away more efficiently. I'm going to do a little bit more testing with this to see if I can replicate this problem. But if this is an issue, then this kind of kills this grill as a decent pellet grill. So the grill is telling me that I now have an internal temperature of 195 on my pork butt in here. Been running about 5.5, 6 hours, I believe. My fireboard is telling me the internal temperature is 199. I'm going to go ahead and kill that alert, and then I'm going to let it run about 10, 15 more minutes, get the temperature up closer to 200 degrees. We'll take a look then. Okay, so my pork butt is up to temperature. Got some spring to it. You can see the charring from my grease fire here underneath. It's kind of burnt. That's a bit disappointing. So any pellet grill should easily maintain low and slow smoking temperatures. But a lot of pellet grills struggle to get to high temperature searing capabilities. This one promises to do that. Maximum temperature of around 650 degrees. Well, we should be able to sear with this. And that's what I'm going to do. Let's power this up. I'm going to turn it to its highest setting and turn our baffle to sear. Let this preheat, see what we can do. Okay, so I've been preheating our pellet grill here for about 25 minutes. The controller's saying it's running at about 611 degrees. My infrared thermometer is telling me the cooking rate is up to 650 to 680. Remember, because of the way this grill is designed, when you're in the sear mode, that heat is much more located towards the center and not as much towards the edges. Now I have a very typical, normal ribeye steak from a grocery store. And nothing fancy about it. It's been sitting out on the counter for about 30 minutes just to get the chill off of it, and I've lightly seasoned it with salt and pepper. I'm going to cook this for 8 minutes. 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Give us a nice crosshatch pattern. Of course, the way the cooking grates here are designed, it's not going to make a big deal, but that moves around the meat on our very hot surface, give us good grill marks and a lot of caramelization. A good grill at a high temperature should grill a steak in a period of time, get it to medium rare or so. So let's see how well this cooks. I'm going to set my timer here for 2 minutes. And that's how long it takes to do that. Temperature dropped down to about 545, but since we're dealing with a pretty heavy porcelain coated cast iron cooking surface, it's not really going to affect the cooking temperature for our steak. It's going to be a lot of contact heat, and we kind of have that jet propulsion of burning pellets shooting straight up at the food. So there's our first 2 minutes. The grill's back to about 600 degrees. We're going to rotate. You can see we got a lot of fire in there. And go another 2 minutes. Okay, our second 2 minutes are almost up. A good sizzling going on in there. Got some smoke coming out. That's mostly from the grease dripping down into the grill itself. Temperature recovery has been really excellent. And we should be at that 2 minutes here in just a sec. And there we go. Let's see what this looks like. Now that is sizzling away. This is a real high temperature cooking. Okay, so our steak should be done now. Take this off. Set it aside. I'm going to cover that, but I'm going to turn the grill into shutdown. And we'll give this a few minutes, see what it looks like. Would just like to say that when cooking fatty foods in sear mode, because we have that deflector unit really close to the grilling surface, it is kind of prone to doing some flaring up. So you're doing this kind of high temperature cooking, it's going to be worth keeping a close eye on it. Okay, so our ribeye steak has had a chance to rest for a bit. Get in here right down the middle. And let's see what kind of coloring we got. Now, I would definitely say it's good and pink in the middle. Got a good crust on the outside. Steal a piece of this. Well, it tastes like a well-grilled steak. Of course, there's not really any smoke flavor to it. When you're cooking it on a pellet grill at these temperatures, not a lot of smoke is able to get into the meat. It's too short of a time, too high of a temperature, not going to be a lot of smoke absorption. But this is a pellet grill that can do high temperature cooking. It's not the only one, but considering its price, I think we can say it has succeeded. All right, so next we're going to look at the reverse sear cooking process. This is done by starting something at a low temperature, letting it absorb a lot of smoke and a lot of flavor, and then turning it to a very high temperature to sear it off. So what we're going to do is the most simple thing for reverse sear, and that is burgers. I'm going to put some burger patties on here. I'm going to let them cook at the lowest possible temperature for about 30 minutes. It'll get them warmed through the middle. Then we're going to crank the heat up and see if we can go for that high intense sear. And what I want to do is see if we can do it without the in-between time. Something that a lot of pellet grills kind of require. Put the food on, smoke it for a while, take it off, crank up the heat, let it get hot, and then put it on. Since we have direct fire capabilities, let's see what we can do with this. So first of all, I'm going to turn the pellet grill on, turn it to its low setting, and let it preheat. Once that's done, we'll get the burger patties on. Okay, so our pellet grill is now preheated. Controller's saying about 198 now. The specs on this grill says it should be able to hold 175, but kind of had trouble keeping it down that low. I'm going to put these burger patties on. I'm going to set the timer for about 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and see if we can get these seared up. Okay, so that timer tells me that our 30 minutes are up. Let's turn that off. Right now it's saying that the grill is running at about 170 degrees, so it has kind of come down a bit. I checked the internal temperature at about 120. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crank the heat up. It doesn't matter really how much I turn it up. With a pellet grill, if you turn up the heat, it's going to start feeding in pellets as fast as it can, start cranking up that temperature. I'm going to keep it smoked for about a minute though, just to kind of let the fire build up before we start shooting that direct flame right at our burgers. Okay, so it's been about a minute. The auger, as I can hear, is cranking away as fast as it can, starting to get a lot more smoke coming up. The temperature jumped about 30 degrees. That's not really what's important here. I mean, we're not roasting, so we don't need a lot of internal temperature in the unit itself. I'm going to move this into the sear setting, which is going to open up that baffle, and let's see if that direct flame is going to give us some good searing now. So we'll let that go about another minute or so, and we'll flip and repeat. Okay, so that's about a minute. The cooker says it's up another 50 degrees. I can really hear the burger sizzling. There's a lot more smoke coming off, and I can really smell those burgers cooking. So I'm gonna get in here. We've got some flame coming up. We've got some little flare-ups going. I'm gonna flip these burgers, move them to a different part of my cooking grate, kind of away from this flare-up over here, which is kind of wild. I can see some good searing going on here. Plus you can tell there's a smoke color on the meat. It's kind of giving it that reddish hue. That's not from the juices of the burger, that's from the smoke itself. So let's close this down. Let it continue to just crank away. Probably go another minute, and I think we might be good. Okay, so that's another minute. The grill says it's closing in on 300 degrees, but smoke is pouring out of here. I can hear all that sizzling going on in there. I can really smell those burgers cooking now. So let's take a look in here. Yeah, we've got good flame going on. And bringing an internal temperature about 150 degrees. So I think that's good for my liking, but you can see that in the direct flame setting, you get a lot of flare up going on here. The fire is just bursting through this deflector, and then all the drippings that are going down on there are just flaring up like crazy. But I did a reverse sear on a pellet grill. I went from cooking at 175 degrees to direct flame grilling and seared without having to take my food off, without having to switch to anything else. So I'd say this was a pretty good success. Let's go ahead, turn this to shutdown, and I'm going to try some burgers. Got a hint of pink in the middle. Good beefy flavor, and just a touch of smoke. It's not really strong. I didn't really expect it to be. These weren't smoked for long enough to get intense smoke flavor in there, but pretty good burger. All right, so while this is cooling down, I'll just wrap up. This has been some cooking on the Oklahoma Joe's Ryder DLX Pellet Grill. Everything worked out quite well. The issue with the pork butt, I don't know if that's just kind of a fluke or what. The grill was clean, it was in good condition, but we did have a flare up. The fat falling from the pork butt did catch fire, it did burn for a couple minutes. I did get some charring on there. And that's something we're gonna have to watch for. I'm gonna try out some more cooking and see if I can reproduce that. It might be best to do smoking not directly in the center of the grill, not over this main deflector area where there is kind of open access to the fire itself. You do have upper racks, you do got areas on the side, but that's kind of an issue. Other than that, the steak worked perfect, the burgers worked perfect, and the pork was good. It was smoky. I mean, it was the kind of smoky you're gonna expect from a pellet grill. I can't really find major fault with the way the unit works. I mean, for a $650 pellet grill, this is a very versatile unit, and this does stuff that most pellet grills are not gonna do without paying a considerable amount more. In many ways, there's kind of a comparison that can go on here between this and the Weber Smokefire pellet grill. This is about the size of the Smokefire EX6 in total cooking capacity. That's on 2 shelves, this is on 3. But that's $1,200. And for the price, this might just be one of the best pellet grills on the market, at least right now. I will be back to do more videos. We're gonna get this thing cleaned up and do some basic maintenance on it, see what's involved in all of that, and then I will wrap this series up with a full review. We can talk about the things I do and do not like, and the problems that I have had, and how well it's done. I hope you like this video. If you want to check out my other videos in this series or other videos on outdoor cooking, please subscribe to my channel.